The sky over the broken city was the wrong color. It wasn't blue anymore. Instead, it was a sickly purple-gray stained by the smoke from fires that never seemed to go out. Giant shapes hung in that sky, huge ships from far away. They belonged to the Dominion. These weren't aliens. They were humans, just like the people on Earth, but they had left long ago. Now they had come back, calling themselves superior, called Earth people baseliners, weak, primitive, conquered. Liam Carter moved like a shadow through the ruins. He wasn't a soldier, he was a mechanic, or at least he used to be. Now he fixed things for people trying to survive. Today, he searched for parts. He needed a specific circuit board, something small and old for a hidden radio transmitter. The Resistance needed it. Hope needed it. His fingers closed around a dusty piece of tech under a fallen beam. That was it. A small spark of relief warmed him. But then the sound came. Sharp hum, getting louder. Fast. Too fast. Dominion patrol drones. Sleek, silent killers the size of large dogs. 2 of them dropped from the sky, blocking the alley ahead. Their weapons glowed a pale blue. Liam turned. 2 more blocked the way behind him, trapped. He didn't scream, he didn't beg. He raised his hands slowly, his face calm. The drones zapped him with stun beams. Pain shot through him, intense and sudden. His muscles locked. He fell hard onto the rubble, gasping, but he didn't cry out, just gritted his teeth, waiting for the darkness. He woke up cold. Metal floor. Bright lights hurt his eyes. He was inside a huge spaceship, the air smelling sterile and sharp. Guards in dark smooth armor hauled him up. They pushed him down corridors that seemed to go on forever, all gleaming metal and strange lights. Finally, they threw him into a small bare cell. Another person was already there, a young man, maybe 18, huddled in a corner. He looked up with wide, terrified eyes. "Liam," he whispered, his voice shaking. It was Ben, a kid Liam knew from the old neighborhood. "Ben," Liam said, his voice rough. "I." He pushed himself up, leaning against the cold wall. "You okay?" Ben shook his head, tears welling. "It just grabbed me." "What's going to happen? Are they going to kill us?" Liam looked around the cell. "I don't know, Ben, but we're still breathing. That's something." He moved closer, sitting beside the younger man. "Just stay calm. Don't give them anything." Suddenly, a commotion came from outside the cell. The heavy door hissed open. Guards snapped to attention. A young woman walked in. She wasn't like the guards. Her clothes were rich-looking, deep blue and silver, perfectly fitted. She moved with an easy confidence, like she owned the entire ship. Maybe she did. Her face was beautiful but cold, her eyes sharp and dismissive as they scanned the prisoners in the holding area. This was Princess Elena Valerius, daughter of the queen who ruled the Dominion. She looked at the huddled figures with a curl of her lip. "Pathetic," she said, her voice clear and sharp. "Look at them, barely human, weak little things." She walked slowly down the line of cells, enjoying the fear she saw. She wanted entertainment, something to show her power. "Bring one out," she ordered a guard, a baseline. "I want a demonstration."
Alex.
She smiled, a cold, cruel thing. "I want to see how long one lasts against real strength." The guard opened Liam and Ben's cell. Both men tensed. The guard looked at the trembling Ben, then at Liam. Liam met the guard's eyes steadily. He didn't look afraid, just watchful, resigned. The princess noticed. Her gaze locked onto Liam. He wasn't cowering. He wasn't screaming. He just looked back at her, calm and quiet amidst the fear. That calmness annoyed her. It felt like defiance. Elena pointed directly at Liam. Her voice was full of disdain. "That one. He looks like he thinks he's tough. Let's see how long he lasts against me." Guards surged into the cell, grabbing Liam roughly by the arms. He didn't fight. He let them pull him to his feet. Ben scrambled forward. "No, leave him alone," he cried out, reaching for Liam. Liam turned his head slightly towards Ben. "Stay strong, Ben," he said, his voice low but firm. Then the guards hauled him out of the cell. The door slammed shut behind him, cutting off Ben's desperate cries. Liam was dragged away down the corridor towards the princess and whatever demonstration she had planned. The princess watched him go, a smirk playing on her lips. She thought this would be easy. She thought he would break quickly. She was very wrong. The guards didn't take Liam back to the cells. Instead, they marched him down different corridors. These were wider, cleaner, quieter. The air felt colder. They stopped before huge doors that slid open silently. Beyond the doors was a vast, empty space. The floor was smooth, hard, and glowed faintly white. High walls rose all around, made of dark, polished material. Bright lights shone down from above, making everything stark and shadowless. High up near the ceiling, Liam could see rows of seats filled with people watching. They weren't real people, he realized after a moment. They were pictures made of light, Dominion officers, and important folk. Watching like this was a show. He was shoved forward onto the glowing floor. It felt cold under his bare feet. He stood alone in the center of this giant empty room. It felt like being in a bottle. Looked around slowly, his face calm. He saw no weapons, no place to hide. Just him and the hard floor. A different door opened on the far side.
B.
Princess Elena walked in. She wasn't wearing her fancy blue clothes anymore. Now she wore tight-fitting gray material that moved like a second skin. It showed her body clearly. Muscles that looked too strong, too defined, for a normal person. Lines of faint silver light traced patterns under the skin near her joints. She moved with an easy, powerful grace. Every step was precise, like a machine. In her hand, she held a short, thick stick that hummed softly. Blue sparks crackled along its length. Not hurrying, not hurrying. Her eyes, sharp and cold, fixed on him. A small, cruel smile touched her lips. The glowing spectators watched silently. She stopped a few paces away. She held the crackling stick loosely at her side. She looked him up and down, her expression full of disgust. "Baseline," she said. Her voice was loud and clear in the huge space, echoing slightly. "Look at you, soft." She gestured at him with her free hand. "Weak, ordinary, no metal, no wires, just ... flesh and bone." She took a step closer, circling him slowly. Liam turned slowly, keeping her in sight. He didn't speak. He just watched her, his body loose but ready. "You think you're strong?" she asked, her voice dripping with scorn. "You think your silence makes you brave?" She laughed, a short, harsh sound. "You're nothing, less than nothing. You come from dirt, we come from stars." She stopped circling and faced him directly. Her smile vanished, replaced by cold certainty. She raised the humming stick, pointing it at him. The blue sparks snapped angrily. "You won't last a minute against me, human," she declared. The words boomed in the arena. "I'll break you before the count even begins. You'll beg for it to stop. Everyone will see how weak you really are." Liam still didn't speak. He shifted his weight slightly. He bent his knees a little and raised his hands in front of him. It wasn't a fancy fighting pose. It was simple, protective, ready to block. His quiet refusal to be scared, to even answer her, seemed to annoy Elena more. Her eyes narrowed. "Fine, stay silent. It won't help you." A loud artificial voice filled the arena. "Combat demonstration initiated. Survival tolerance test. Begin." Suddenly, large glowing numbers appeared in the air above the center of the floor. They started at 60, and they began to count down. 59, 58, 57. The hum of Elena's weapon grew louder. The blue light from its sparks reflected in her cold eyes. She raised it higher, her powerful body coiling like a spring. Liam took a slow breath. He kept his eyes on her, his hands up. The glowing numbers kept falling. 56, 55, 54. Princess Elena Valerius, heir to the Dominion, smiled again. She believed the fight was already over. She believed the countdown was just the measure of how fast this broken Earthman would fall. The glowing number said 54. Princess Elena moved like lightning. She covered the space between them in a blur. Her crackling baton whipped through the air, aiming for Liam's head. Liam jerked his arm up. He blocked the blow with his forearm. Pain exploded through him. It wasn't like a punch. It felt like fire and ice mixed together, jolting deep into his bones. He gasped, stumbling back a step. His arm felt numb and burning at the same time. Elena didn't stop. She attacked again and again. Her weapon cracked against his ribs, his shoulder, his thigh. Each hit sent waves of that terrible, shocking pain through Liam's body. He blocked some blows with his arms. He twisted away from others, but many landed hard. Bruises bloomed dark on his skin. A thin line of blood ran from a cut above his eye. He grunted with the effort, his breath coming in ragged gasps. But he didn't scream. He didn't fall. 30, 29, 28. Elena's face changed. The cold smile was gone. Her eyes were wide with surprise, then anger. This wasn't happening. Baseline should be on the floor crying by now. "Fall!" she shouted, her voice tight with fury. "Just fall down." She struck harder, faster. Her movements were still precise, but there was a new edge to them. Frustration. Liam kept moving. He wasn't attacking back. He couldn't. She was too fast, too strong. His world narrowed to the pain, the crackling weapon, and her furious eyes. He focused on staying upright, on breathing, on watching her. He noticed something. When she made a really powerful swing, especially with her left arm, there was a tiny hitch. Just for a split second after the swing finished, that arm seemed to hang in the air, like it was catching up. It was barely noticeable. But Liam, used to fixing broken machines, saw the tiny flaw. He didn't have time to think. When she raised the baton high for another strong left-handed strike, he didn't try to block it fully. He shifted his weight, turning his body slightly. He let the blow land, but mostly on the meaty part of his upper arm. It hurt badly, but it wasn't a direct hit to his head or chest. And as he turned, he moved just a little closer to her left side. 25, 24, 23. He kept doing it. When he saw her left arm tense for a big move, he positioned himself. He made her use that arm. He made her take those powerful swings. He let the baton hit him where it would hurt less, using the tiny delay after her swing to absorb the blow or roll with it. He took the pain, gritted his teeth until his jaw ached. Sweat mixed with the blood on his face. His body screamed at him to stop, but he didn't stop. 10, 9:08. Lena was breathing hard now. Her perfect hair was messy. Her face was flushed red. Rage burned in her eyes. He was still standing. His impossible man was still standing. Break. She screamed, almost a shriek. She put everything into one last attack. A flurry of strikes, ending with a brutal thrust of the baton, aimed straight at his chest. She wanted to drive him to his knees. Liam saw the powerful left arm thrust coming. He braced his feet. He twisted his upper body sharply at the last second. He couldn't dodge it completely. The crackling tip slammed hard into his left shoulder, not his chest. The pain was blinding. It felt like his shoulder was breaking, but he used the force. He let the impact spin him around. He staggered wildly, his vision blurring, stumbled, his knees buckling. But he threw his weight forward, not backward. He lurched, fighting for balance. His feet stayed under him. He swayed violently, his body trembling with pain and effort, but he was still on his feet. He was still inside the glowing circle on the floor. The glowing numbers hit 0. Loud, harsh klaxon sound blared through the arena, sharp and sudden. It cut through everything. Silence crashed down. The hum of Elena's weapon seemed loud now. She stood frozen, the baton still pointed where Liam had been a second before. Her chest heaved. She stared at Liam, her eyes wide with disbelief. He stood a few paces away, swaying like a tree in a storm, battered, bleeding, breathing like he'd run a mile, but upright. His eyes, though clouded with pain, were open. He looked back at her. The countdown was over. The minute was up. Liam Carter was still standing. The blaring klaxon stopped. The sudden silence was heavy, thick enough to choke on. The glowing numbers vanished. In the stands, the light pictures of the Dominion officers were completely still. No one moved. No one spoke. They just stared down at the arena floor. Princess Elena stood frozen. Her arm was still outstretched from the thrust that hadn't knocked Liam down. The blue sparks on her baton crackled weakly.
Ow.
Her chest rose and fell rapidly. Her face flushed red with effort moments before, slowly drained of color, replaced by a look of utter disbelief. Eyes were wide, fixed on Liam. He was still standing. Liam swayed where he stood. His body was a map of pain. Bruises darkened his skin. Blood dripped from his eyebrow and the corner of his mouth. His left arm hung limp and useless at his side, agony radiating from his shoulder. Sweat plastered his hair to his forehead. His breathing was ragged, each inhale sounding like a struggle, but his feet stayed planted on the glowing floor. He slowly lifted his head. His eyes, tired and full of pain, met Elena's shocked gaze. He didn't smile. He didn't gloat, just looked at her. The silence stretched. Then, a low murmur began to ripple through the light spectators. Whispers, confusion, disbelief. Commander Thorne watched from a special viewing area. His face was carefully blank, professional. But his eyes, sharp and observant, tracked Liam's battered form. There was a new intensity in his look, a flicker of something unexpected. Not admiration, but a deep, serious recognition of what he was seeing. Dr. Sharma stood near Thorne. She stared intently at a small screen in her hand, her brow furrowed. Her fingers moved rapidly over the device. She glanced up at Liam, then back at the screen, her expression shifting from professional interest to genuine bafflement. The readings didn't make sense. The low murmurs seemed to snap Elena out of her daze. Disbelief curdled into pure burning rage. Humiliation washed over her, hot and sharp. Her perfect demonstration, her proof of dominion superiority, lay in ruins at the feet of this broken baseline. A snarl twisted her lips. She dropped her baton. It clattered loudly on the hard floor, the sparks dying out. She strode towards Liam, her movements stiff with fury. She stopped right in front of him. Before he could react, her hand shot out. She grabbed the front of his torn shirt, her fingers digging into his collarbone. She yanked him forward. He stumbled, gritting his teeth against the fresh wave of pain from his shoulder. "What are you?" she hissed, her voice trembling with fury. She shook him roughly. "What trick is this?" Her eyes searched his face wildly, looking for some sign, some hidden device. "What power do you hide?" Baseline. Liam didn't struggle against her grip. He met her furious eyes. His voice, when it came, was hoarse and quiet, but it carried clearly in the silent arena. "No trick, princess?" He paused, drawing a painful breath. "No hidden energy? Just earth. Just ... he swallowed. ... endurance." He held her gaze, his own eyes holding a deep, weary knowledge she couldn't understand. "You conquer worlds," he rasped, "but you don't understand what it takes to survive losing one." His eyes flickered, just for an instant, towards the direction of the holding cells where Ben waited. That small look held everything. The reason, the source of his strength. Commander Thorne moved. He stepped down onto the arena floor, his boots clicking on the hard surface. "The demonstration is concluded, Your Highness," he stated, his voice firm and calm, cutting through Elena's rage. He gave a sharp nod to the guards near the entrance. The guards moved quickly. They approached Elena and Liam. One guard gently, but firmly pried Elena's fingers from Liam's shirt. She let go, stepping back as if burned, still staring at Liam with a mixture of hatred and utter confusion. The other two guards took hold of Liam's arms, careful to avoid his injured shoulder. Their grip was still firm, but it wasn't rough like before. They simply supported his weight as they began to lead him away, back towards the corridor leading to the cells. He walked slowly, limping badly. Dr. Sharma hurried down to stand beside Thorne. She held out her screen, her face serious. "Commander," she said, keeping her voice low. "Look at this. His readings... They don't match anything in our databases." Thorne looked at the screen. Lines and numbers scrolled past. Sharma pointed. Pain signals off the charts. But his nervous system. It's like it's dampening them. Filtering the agony. She pointed to another set of numbers, and his stress levels. During the fight, they were dropping, not rising. It makes no sense. She looked towards the doorway where Liam had just disappeared. "It's not cybernetics, Commander. It's not Dominion tech." She met Thorne's eyes, her own wide with scientific shock. "It's something else. Something inside him, his body, his mind. It adapted. Somehow it adapted to survive. ... that." She gestured vaguely at the empty arena floor, the discarded baton. The place where a minute had changed everything. The guards didn't drag Liam this time. They half carried, half walked him back to the holding cells. His left arm hung useless, and every step sent jolts of pain through his battered body. His breathing was shallow and rough. The bright lights of the corridor seemed too harsh. They reached the cell block. The heavy door slid open. Other prisoners pressed their faces against the clear barriers of their cells, eyes wide. Whispers flew like startled birds. "He's back. ... He's alive, ... Look at him, ... The guards opened Liam and Ben's cell. As they helped Liam inside, Ben scrambled forward. His face was wet with tears, but now his eyes were huge with disbelief and relief. Liam, he choked out. The guards let go. Liam stumbled. Ben caught him, gently lowering him to sit against the cold wall. The cell door hissed shut. Ben crouched beside him, hands hovering, afraid to touch the bruises and blood. You ... You did it, Ben whispered, awe in his voice. They said you stood against her. Liam leaned his head back against the wall, closing his eyes for a moment. Sweat beaded on his pale face. Just lasted, he managed, his voice a dry rasp. Outside the cell, the whispers grew louder. People in other cells called out softly, "Hey, Earthman, you showed her how? How did you do it?" The fear in the block hadn't vanished, but something new mixed with it now. A spark. A fierce, quiet pride. They looked at Liam not just as a fellow captive, but as something more. The man who faced the princess and stood. Princess Elena stormed into the medical lab. Fine gray combat suit was rumpled, her hair escaping its tight bindings. Her face was still pale beneath the flush of anger. Dr. Sharma looked up from her screen, startled. "You," Elena snapped, pointing a shaking finger at Sharma. "That baseline, Liam Carter. I want answers now." Sharma stood up slowly. "Your Highness, my preliminary findings are unusual, but I don't care about unusual." Elena slammed her fist on a metal table, making instruments rattle. "What power does he have? What technology did he steal? How did he withstand the neural baton?" Her voice rose, sharp with fury and humiliation. "He made a fool of me. He defied Dominion's strength. I want him broken open. I want every secret he has ripped out." Her eyes were wild. "I will break him myself." Commander Thorne stood rigidly at attention in the Queen's private viewing chamber. The large screen still showed the empty arena floor. Queen Serafina Valeris sat in a tall, dark chair, her posture perfect, her face like carved ice. She had watched the recording of the demonstration in silence. The child played her games, the Queen stated, her voice cold and precise. No hint of motherly warmth and lost. Thorne remained silent, waiting. "This baseline," the Queen continued, her icy gaze shifting to Thorne. "This Liam Carter is more dangerous than 1,000 rebels with guns. Do you understand why, Commander?" Thorne met her gaze. "He represents an idea, Your Majesty. An idea that baselines possess strength we dismissed." "Precisely," the Queen hissed. "An idea that weakness can endure. That defiance is possible without our technology, our order. Ideas are like disease, Commander. They spread in the dark places. They fester in minds like that boy Ben in his cell." She leaned forward slightly. "My daughter's emotional outburst only fed this idea. Her obsession now risks making it stronger." She paused, letting the cold silence fill the room. "Lena has one chance. She will crush this spark. Utterly. She will break this Liam Carter body and spirit until he is nothing but a warning. She will erase the idea he represents." The Queen's eyes were like chips of frozen stone. "If she fails, Commander, I will erase it. And the cost will be far higher. Make sure she understands." Back in the dim cell, Liam finally opened his eyes. The immediate crushing pain had eased slightly into a deep, constant ache. Ben offered him a small cup of water. They were allowed. Liam took it carefully with his good hand, sipping slowly. The whispers from the other cells had quieted, but the feeling in the block had changed. The heavy air of despair was still there, but mixed with something else. A watchfulness, a shared secret. Eyes kept flicking towards Liam's cell. Ben sat close, his own fear tempered by the sight of Liam breathing. "What happens now, Liam?" he asked quietly, his voice trembling only a little. "She won't stop. The Queen. They won't let this go." Liam lowered the cup. He looked past Ben, not at the cell walls, but as if seeing through them. Through the vast ship. Towards where the broken purple-gray image of Earth hung in space, visible on some distant monitor he couldn't see. His face was bruised, exhausted, etched with pain. But his eyes, looking at that unseen world, held a deep, unshakable fire. A fire forged in loss and survival. He turned his gaze to Ben. It wasn't the look of a broken man. It was the look of someone who knew the weight of the world and refused to buckle. "We endure, Ben," Liam said, his voice rough but steady. "We remember Earth. We remember who we are." He took another slow breath, the effort clear, and we wait. He paused, the memory of the glowing numbers, the crackling baton, the princess's shocked face flashing in his mind. He thought of the spark he'd seen ignite in the eyes of the other captives. We wait for our minute.